Hello, peoples of the world. It is July 29th, Friday. Happy weekend. We're back again. It's my third Friday doing this. No, 1, 2, 3, fourth. It's the end of the third week. Awesome. So, today I was going to talk about work stuff. This is actually the third time I've tried to do this. For some reason, my camera keeps turning off and I don't see it turning off. So I'm going to watch this countdown timer thing like a hawk. But today I wanted to talk about work. And I was actually thinking maybe what I'll do is, this is sort of random because it's Morandom Topics, but I was thinking of maybe doing a topic day, like maybe time-lapse Tuesday where I go through the time lapses I did that week, or I could do like a slow carb Saturday where I talk about my nutrition and weight loss plans and how I'm working on that and my exercise, things like that. I don't know, I'm just thinking about it. But otherwise, I just keep repeating myself every day, saying the same sort of random things all the time. So, work. So what I wanted to talk about was my working as a freelancer, thinking about how I would do things again if I was going to go back and do them over again. I just said the word again twice in that sentence. So if I was going to go back in time and have myself do this again, I think I started doing freelancing for the most part around 2008. After I left Hong Kong. And if I was going to go back and do it again, and I did some freelancing before that, but it wasn't consistent. It wasn't a business. It was like a hobby I got paid for, which I think is really the distinction here. If you have a business, quote unquote, air quotes, business, without a system, that's not really a business. A business without a system is a hobby you get paid for. Something you can do pretty well, you have a skill set for, and someone says, hey, I'll pay you to do that. And so you're like, okay, sounds great. So you get paid to do it, but it's not a business. A business requires a system. You have a system for marketing. You have a system for production. You have a system for finances. You have a system for doing all these parts of your business. The system doesn't have to be super complex and detailed, but you need to have a system that's repeatable and reproducible by different people. That's a system, right? Like the McDonald's, right? Totally a system. Not saying it's a great business, but they make money, but I'm not, anyway, different episode. So the key to that is the system needs to be in place before I think you start freelancing. Even just an outline. You don't have to get super detailed with it. You can just think about the moving parts of a web design service. So let's say, for example, so you got to figure out the discovery process, how you meet with clients to talk about things, how you intake clients, how you market to clients, potential clients. Then you got to think about the design side of things and the development and content, getting content from the client, and then launching the website, and then SEO and all these moving pieces of a website building process. Figure out what your methodology is, what makes you unique, what your approach to those things are, and sort of create a general outline of them. Just on paper is fine, or Evernote or something like that, Notepad. Just write it out so that you have a general idea. What you're aiming for in the future is to have like a complete checklist, so that anyone can look at this checklist and go like, okay, do this, and then do this, and then do this, and you're slowly sort of weeding yourself out of the boring parts of your business. But that's a different topic also. So what I would do differently is I would have gone back, I would have stayed at a job. It doesn't have to be the job I left in 2008, because that job was very stressful at the time. But I would find a job that allowed me some stability and consistency and paid for the roof over my head and paid my bills. And I would just have that job and make a plan saying, okay, I'm not going to have this job for more than 18 months. That's my goal, or 12 months, or whatever it is. I think 12 to 18 months is reasonable. Stay at a job for a year and a half to give yourself that security. And it doesn't have to be even a job in what you're planning on doing for freelance. It just needs to be a job that pays your bills, because you need those paid so that you can work on your business. So you have your job, 40 hours a week, full time, working at wherever, work at McDonald's, or work at Kinko's, or do they have Kinko's now? UPS store, or work at the bank, or it doesn't matter. Just work somewhere where you can get a paycheck and pay your rent and get your food and pay for gas and commuting and occasionally a movie or something. But try and keep your expenses low. That's a different issue too, episode. So do that at the same time. After you've written out your processes, take one client and just one client initially, and use that client as a testing ground for your process. It's a way to experiment to see if the system you came up with makes sense or not. And while you're doing the system, take notes and kind of see, okay, this works, that doesn't work, this works. That's why I think a digital notepad file or Evernote file is good, because you can go in, you have this huge bullet point list, or this maybe it's a small outline to start, but as you refine the process, you can go in and add notes, add things to change in the next version, all that kind of stuff. So you can have this living document, or Google Docs is fine too, a living document of your process, and it can grow over time. It doesn't have to be big to start. And really, this applies to any business. It doesn't just apply to web design. You could do this with, if you're starting a wushu school, have processes for that, for your school, and how you run things in your school. Document things. Documentation is so important, because without documentation, you can't teach your system reliably. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I would have the system that I'm building out in place, take the first client, do a super cheap website, 250 bucks, 500 bucks, doesn't matter. Make it super cheap, because you're still learning your process and you need the practice more than they need unexperienced web designer to do their website. So you get in there, you do the website, you test it out. Maybe it takes you a month or 2 or 3 to create this website, and find a super simple website, or just offer your services to someone you know needs a website. Let's say someone out there, they want to start a blog. Say, great, I'll build the blog for you. Pay me $100 and pay for the hosting on it, and I'll do it for you, or something like that. Super cheap, super reasonable, just to get the practice in. And then the next project you take the amount you did and you add 50% to it until you get to your professional level pricing. Just add 50% to what you did for the last person. And then maybe the next time you add 25%. So you don't make a huge jump. Even adding 10% is fine, but then the growth is kind of long if you start at 250 bucks. So create a system, build it slowly over time, document it, and record it. So that means that you do screen captures, you do videos, you create templates, you make a system so that over time you can slowly replace yourself. And this is something I wish I had done. When I started, I was just sort of randomly throwing things together. If somebody needed something, I could do that, I'll do that. I didn't specialize in anything. I used to do graphic design, print design, web design, logo design, whatever. I did it all. And as a result, I didn't really do much of anything. Now I only do websites, and that's all I'll do. And I only really do WordPress websites, because WordPress, a lot of people might say, well, WordPress is sort of, I have friends who would say that WordPress is, it's not a reliable thing, and it's kind of like this, it's like cookie cutter and blah, blah, blah. But it's, to the end client, the technology you use to get the job done only matters if it isn't a technology that they can use to get the job done, right? So you need to use technology. I mean, these are tools to make work easier. If you had a mechanic, and the mechanic, those kind of wrenches that go to take the screws off the wheels, if you went to the mechanic or let's say you want to get your tires changed. You had a flat tire, you're on the road, TripleA comes to you. TripleA is a service that helps you with your car if you're not from the US. And they come to you and they go to the thing and they get one of those big like X wrench things, and they start using that to slowly undo the wheel. And you're in a rush and you're like, well, why don't you just use one of those things? They're like, oh no man, that doesn't make sense. That technology makes the job too easy. And it's the same sort of thing. Just because something makes the job easy doesn't mean it is a bad thing to use. Actually, it's a good thing to use. You need your systems in place. So whatever system you use, maybe use Drupal or Joomla, or maybe you like the hand code websites. And if you do, you're crazy. But maybe you like the hand code websites. That's fine too. Whatever system you have, just be consistent with it and grow and develop it over time, which I wish I had done. I wish I had said, okay, I'm not going to do all this print design, I'm not going to do graphic design. It was great to do and it was nice for my portfolio, but it wasn't necessary for me. I should have just stuck to web design. I'm going to make websites, I'm going to make good, solid websites, and that's all I'm going to do, and create a system and build it out. 10 minutes. I got to hurry on this. So that's what I would do. I would specialize in a very specific set of skills. And second to that, I would specialize in the types of clients I take on. So maybe it's real estate people, or maybe it's bloggers, or maybe it's podcasters, or maybe it's accountants, or whoever it is. Find an industry that you know something about or you have an interest in. Surfers, whatever. Surf shops, gas stations, libraries, mom and pop shops, barbecue joints, whatever. Find one that you're really interested in and market to those people specifically, saying, look, I'm going to be, or if you are, I am the premier web designer for your type of business and your type of business person. So here's the portfolio of all the things I've done in your niche. That puts you way above the generalist who can do websites, but they do it for like every other random person out there. At least when you're getting started, that's really, really helpful. And as you go forward, then you're able to, as you specialize, you can charge higher rates. Pricing is really challenging for a lot of people, and I would say, and people always ask me, so what does a website cost? How much would it be to do a simple website? Number one, a website isn't simple or complex. The actual complexity of a website is in the client communication and the client's ability to get things done. Most clients don't realize that building a website takes just as much work from them as it does from the designer. The designer can't do anything without a good partner in their client. So a lot of people think that it's like, it's like getting a suit made. You go in, you get measured, and then you leave, and you come back and the suit's finished. But it's much more like, I want to say, oh boy, I can't think of an analogy right now. But it's much more of a collaborative process than most people realize. And so one of the first things I do with clients is I say, look, here's the deal. You have to understand that I need you to be committed to this process as much as I am. If I'm going to put my work and energy into this, I need to know that you're also going to do it. Which means that you need to value what you're offering to the relationship as much as the other person, or more than the other person, because you know what's required to get your job done, and what's really required for most of it is the client getting their stuff done. Content development, feedback on designs, feedback on prototypes, feedback on wireframes, all that stuff needs to be done. So I'm rambling a little bit. I think, long story short, just you need to really value yourself if you're running a business. Value the business that you're going to run. Build the systems required to make your business successful. Slowly weed yourself out of things, the mundane tasks, so you can focus on the higher level stuff. And price yourself, not competitively, because that means you're making yourself cheap. Price yourself effectively so that you get what you need to run a business. A lot of people think, oh, $2,000 for a website seems really expensive. Isn't WordPress free, or isn't it free to make it on Wix or Weebly or one of these page builder things, or hosting's only like $5 a month? Why are you charging me so much? Look, if you want to build it yourself, yeah, it can be way cheaper. For me to build a website for myself is extremely cheap. It just takes time, and it takes a lot less time because I can talk to myself about what I want on the site really quickly, so I can implement fast. It reminds me of this cartoon I saw, this comic strip in a newspaper, on YouTube or Facebook or something. And the person came up to there's a client and a designer, and the designer says, okay, the person says, hey, I'd like to get this design done. And the designer says, okay. And it comes back like 10 minutes later and says, okay, here's your design, that'll be $2,000. I'm paraphrasing. $2,000. And the guy says, why should I pay you $2,000 for 10 minutes of your time, or an hour of your time, or whatever it was, or a day of your time, or a week? And the person says, because you're not really paying me for the time I put in, you're paying me for the 10 years of experience I have that allows me to do that work in 10 minutes. So what people are really paying you for is not the amount of time you put into that project, it's your expertise in knowing what to do with that project. You've gone through the trials and tribulations of figuring out all the stuff that's required to make a website, so you should be compensated for that, your expertise. Like any profession, right? Doctors charge a decent amount because they went to school for a long time and did a practicum and they residency and all this stuff to gain the skills and experience. The only difference is doctors, everyone kind of knows what they have to go through to become a doctor, thanks to TV shows and stuff. But web designers, there's no web designer TV show out there where somebody does a show about the trials and tribulations of becoming a web designer. That'd be kind of a boring show. It'd be people on laptops in coffee shops. So that's my rant for today about work, about pricing yourself, about being effective in a marketplace. 15 minutes. I was blabbing today. Had a lot to say, I guess. Anyway, it is 2:30. I'm going to start heading out and going up to the gym, get some water. Meeting Ruhi up there at 3 o'clock. Going to do some weightlifting and get busy with that. Tomorrow is my free day. And we're going to a party at noon for the student who's leaving the island, who is one of my Wushu students. And then, although she did one class, but she's still my student. And then we're going to the Obon Festival here on Molokai tomorrow evening, so I'll go to that, and there'll probably be some good food available there too. Plus tomorrow's Saturday market, so there might be some good stuff in the morning. So I'm going to partake of some deliciousness tomorrow, and yeah, that's the plan for the weekend. Sunday is an LSA meeting, and I got work to do for clients over the weekend too a little bit. I'm trying to make it so that my me time is separate. Oh, and as far as what I was talking about before, having a job and working part-time, I think the general idea is work part-time until your part-time, your side gig, your web design stuff is giving you at least as much as your real job is. When that happens, make the switch. Because you're working at some job that just pays rent and stuff, maybe $2,000 a month at that job after taxes and stuff. So wait until your company, your business, is making at least $2,000 a month, and then you could transfer, or wait for it to make twice as much, $4,000 a month. That way you can pay for taxes and possible employees and stuff like that. So really plan things out. Don't just do things haphazardly. I'm leaving my job, and you walk out and you're like, oh shoot, now I better start making a business. So you start making websites for money, and pretty soon you're making $500 websites, and you have to do 20 of them a month just to stay solvent, which is terrible. Don't do that. Trust me. Alrighty, guys. That's it for today. Have a wonderful weekend. Fantastic Friday, spectacular Saturday, sublime Sunday. I will talk to you all later, and keep on keeping on. Boo!